the hip-hop world is buzzing again, and this time, it's shaking the very foundations of the industry. 50 Cent, the undisputed Harlem powerhouse, has just called out Lil Baby over what's being described as a hidden feud, and fans are left completely shocked. Social media exploded the moment the story broke, with reactions pouring in from all corners of the rap community. Everyone wants to know what's really going on behind the scenes. This isn't just another run-of-the-mill rap clash. 50 Cent has a long history of exposing secrets, calling out hidden moves, and keeping the streets and studios on high alert. And when he targets someone like Lil Baby, one of the biggest names in the game right now, you know the stakes are higher than ever. Industry insiders are hinting that this feud could be tied to personal rivalries, business disagreements, or even alliances that fans never knew existed. Harlem streets, online forums, and social media are alive with speculation, with everyone dissecting every comment, post, and throwback to see what triggered 50 Cent's explosive call-out. Is this the start of a full-blown rap war, or a strategic move by 50 Cent to assert dominance and remind the industry that he still calls the shots? One thing is clear. This story isn't just about a clash between two artists. It's a lesson in influence, power, and strategy in modern hip-hop. And as fans react and rumors continue to spread, the world watches eagerly, wondering just how far this feud will go and who will be next caught in the crossfire. As soon as 50 Cent's call-out hit, the reactions were instantaneous. Social media feeds flooded with fans dissecting the situation from every angle, reposting clips, screenshots, and throwback moments. Some were supportive of 50 Cent, calling him a legend who doesn't hold back, while others questioned why he would go after Lil Baby, one of the hottest artists in the game today. The clash, whether subtle or full-on, wasn't just about personal differences. It was about influence, respect, and who truly controls the narrative in modern hip-hop. Industry insiders suggest that this feud has roots deeper than what meets the eye. Rumors began circulating that Lil Baby's recent moves in the industry, collaborations, brand deals, and even hints at alliances with other artists, might have rubbed 50 Cent the wrong way. Sources close to the situation indicate that this isn't just about music or personal rivalry. It's a clash of power and position. In the hip-hop world, where respect and street credibility are currency, such a public call-out carries enormous weight. Harlem and Atlanta, two cities deeply tied to the histories of 50 Cent and Lil Baby respectively, were abuzz. Fans in Harlem praised 50 Cent for standing his ground, highlighting that he's a figure who built an empire from nothing and has always been unafraid to call out deception or disrespect. Meanwhile, fans in Atlanta rallied around Lil Baby, emphasizing his current dominance in the charts, massive streaming numbers, and rising influence across multiple platforms. The geographical divide made this feud more than just online chatter. It became a cross-city conversation, and in some circles, a cultural debate. Breaking down the incident itself, reports claim that 50 Cent's comments came during a mix of interviews and social media posts where he subtly hinted at hidden moves Lil Baby has been making. Although no direct diss track or song was involved initially, the wording was deliberate enough to spark intense speculation. Fans quickly scoured old interviews, social media interactions, and even business deals, trying to find the hidden feud 50 Cent was referencing. Every subtle tweet or throwback clip suddenly gained renewed attention as everyone tried to piece together the puzzle. The ripple effect didn't stop with fans. Fellow artists, collaborators, and even industry executives started weighing in. Some saw 50 Cent's move as a strategic power play, a reminder that he's still a kingmaker and a force to be reckoned with. Others saw it as a potential escalation, one that could turn into a full-blown conflict affecting alliances, collaborations, and even business ventures. In hip-hop, where personal relationships often intersect with professional deals, the consequences of a public call-out are never small. Online forums, Instagram Reels, TikTok videos, and YouTube comment sections all became hubs for heated discussion. Analysts and fans alike began debating whether Lil Baby would respond publicly or handle it quietly behind the scenes. The industry's response was also telling. Music executives reportedly reached out to both camps to gauge the potential fallout. For someone like 50 Cent, whose past has included countless high-profile beefs and public feuds, timing and messaging are everything. The subtleties of tone, phrasing, and context were scrutinized by both fans and insiders alike, highlighting just how careful navigation is required when calling out a major star. Interestingly, the feud also brought up discussions about mentorship and generational influence. 50 Cent has always been known as someone who blends street credibility with business acumen. His comments on Lil Baby weren't just a reaction, they were also a subtle lesson in strategy and positioning. For younger artists watching, the interaction served as a case study. Ambition and talent alone aren't enough. Understanding timing, messaging, and respect within the industry hierarchy is critical. Observers noted that this might be one of the few times 50 Cent publicly acknowledges a younger artist in such a pointed way, which makes the situation all the more significant. Business implications also started surfacing quickly. Lil Baby's brand deals, collaborations, and endorsements became points of discussion among analysts and fans. There was speculation that some of 50 Cent's remarks were related not just to artistic moves, but to industry maneuvering, hidden agreements, behind-the-scenes deals, or collaborations that might shift influence or profit in unexpected ways. In hip-hop, where both music and business are deeply intertwined, a comment from a figure like 50 Cent can cause shockwaves that ripple through multiple sectors of the industry. The historical context adds another layer. 50 Cent has a legacy of calling out major figures in hip-hop when he senses deception, disrespect, or hidden agendas. From Jay-Z to Ja Rule, from Fat Joe to Rick Ross, he has consistently made his influence known. By turning his attention to Lil Baby, he's signaling not only a recognition of Lil Baby's rising influence, but also a reminder that no one is above scrutiny, regardless of chart position or fame. For fans and industry insiders, this adds drama, suspense, and a sense of anticipation. How will Lil Baby respond? Will it remain a subtle feud, or escalate into a full-on rap war? The fan reactions were immediate and intense. Twitter threads exploded with speculation, memes, and polls about who won or who might respond next. Instagram Reels dissected past lyrics and interactions between the artists, attempting to find clues. YouTube reaction channels began creating multiple videos analyzing every detail, from social media posts to subtle nods and interviews. Every single action was scrutinized for hints, feeding a cycle of speculation and engagement that keeps the story alive and continuously trending. Even within Lil Baby's camp, sources say the team was carefully strategizing responses. Advisors reportedly considered everything from social media statements to music releases, interviews, and public appearances. The goal is clear: manage the narrative without escalating tension unnecessarily. For 50 Cent, every word, post, and hint was designed to maintain dominance while provoking curiosity and debate, a strategic approach that maximizes impact without overexposure. Music industry analysts also chimed in, noting that public feuds like this have a long shelf life. They drive streams, views, and social media engagement, which in turn fuels algorithmic promotion on platforms like YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram. The timing of 50 Cent's comments was crucial. By releasing them when Lil Baby is at peak visibility, the story gets amplified organically. In a way, this feud isn't just personal, it's an orchestrated engagement strategy, blending entertainment, strategy, and influence. Adding to the complexity, some reports hinted at potential collaborations or indirect links between 50 Cent and other artists connected to Lil Baby. This layer of indirect involvement fuels additional speculation. Could 50 Cent be influencing alliances behind the scenes? Or is this simply about calling out perceived disrespect? In hip-hop, the lines between personal beef, professional strategy, and public entertainment are often blurred, and this feud is a perfect example. Harlem, Atlanta, and beyond watched closely. The geographical contrast, 50 Cent representing the streets of Harlem and Lil Baby representing Atlanta, adds cultural weight to the clash. Fans debated not just the artists themselves, but the cities they represent, the history of influence in hip-hop, and what this means for power dynamics in the modern music scene. Every post, every comment, every lyric snippet became a point of discussion, further extending the reach and longevity of the story. By the end of the first wave of reactions, it was clear this is more than a social media skirmish. It's a multi-layered drama involving respect, power, influence, and strategy. And for fans, analysts, and artists alike, the unfolding events serve as both entertainment and education, showing how carefully calculated moves, even subtle call-outs, can reverberate across the industry. Where we'll dive into Lil Baby's reaction, behind-the-scenes alliances, and the ripple effect across the hip-hop world, revealing just how far this hidden feud might go. As the news of 50 Cent calling out Lil Baby spread, the tension didn't just simmer, it escalated. Lil Baby, one of Atlanta's biggest exports, was suddenly thrust into the spotlight not just for his music, but for a feud that fans and insiders insist had been simmering quietly behind the scenes. Sources close to Lil Baby suggest that while he had previously avoided confrontations, 50 Cent's public call-out forced the issue into the open. Suddenly, everyone from industry executives to street-level fans were speculating about the origin, the motive, and the potential fallout. Insiders indicate that part of the hidden feud relates to strategic moves in the industry, collaborations, endorsements, and alliances that Lil Baby had formed. 50 Cent, with his finger firmly on the pulse of hip-hop power dynamics, apparently saw some of these moves as undermining his influence, or, at the very least, testing the boundaries of respect in the culture. While the specifics remain closely guarded, analysts note that in hip-hop, even subtle perceived slights or missteps can have enormous repercussions. Atlanta's hip-hop scene immediately reacted. Fans flooded social media with opinions, memes, and speculations about whether Lil Baby would respond with a diss track, social media post, or interview. Some defended Lil Baby, highlighting his recent chart dominance, sold-out tours, and consistent ability to generate streaming numbers that rival almost anyone in the industry. Others sided with 50 Cent, emphasizing his history of exposing secrets, calling out hidden moves, and maintaining the respect and credibility that comes from decades at the top. The debate was fierce, with every tweet and Instagram comment dissected for hidden meaning. Meanwhile, 50 Cent maintained his strategic approach. Unlike impulsive social media feuds that flare and fade, his call-out was calculated. Every post, interview snippet, and Instagram story was timed for maximum impact. Analysts have pointed out that this kind of approach does more than stir drama. It increases visibility, drives streaming numbers, and engages multiple demographics simultaneously. The algorithm on platforms like YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram thrives on content that is being discussed, dissected, and shared rapidly, which meant 50 Cent's strategic call-out was already working behind the scenes to elevate the story. Adding fuel to the fire, music journalists began highlighting historical interactions between 50 Cent and Lil Baby. From past interviews to collaborative hints that never materialized, commentators pieced together a narrative suggesting that this feud was not entirely spontaneous. Some hinted at earlier moments of tension that were subtle or hidden, now amplified by 50 Cent's decision to publicly address the issue. Fans eagerly revisited old tracks, lyrics, and interviews in an attempt to decode subliminal messages, further amplifying engagement across social platforms. At the same time, industry figures began quietly weighing in. Executives and managers familiar with the inner workings of hip-hop's power structures emphasized that the feud, while public, could influence business decisions behind the scenes. Brand deals, collaborations, and even award show appearances might now be impacted by perceived alignments, loyalties, and public opinion. Lil Baby's camp reportedly convened meetings to ensure that any public response would be carefully crafted, not just for damage control, but also to maintain momentum for his career and protect his reputation. The streets of Harlem and Atlanta became symbolic battlefields. While 50 Cent's comments resonated in Harlem, Atlanta's hip-hop community rallied behind Lil Baby, creating a cross-city dialogue filled with passion, pride, and loyalty. The cultural significance was not lost on fans, as debates extended beyond the personal feud and into broader discussions about influence, respect, and representation in hip-hop. How younger artists navigate these dynamics, particularly when confronted with a legend like 50 Cent, became a hot topic for discussion on podcasts, YouTube channels, and social media commentary. Meanwhile, 50 Cent's influence extended beyond social media chatter. Podcasts and radio shows dissected every nuance of his call-out, analyzing the implications for both his legacy and Lil Baby's trajectory. Analysts noted that a single statement from 50 Cent, delivered strategically, has the power to dominate trending feeds, influence public perception, and shape future collaborations. The calculated nature of his approach was a reminder to the industry that even in a landscape dominated by streaming numbers and social media clout, strategic influence and credibility still matter immensely. Fans, of course, were relentless. Twitter threads, Instagram Reels, TikTok reactions, and YouTube videos multiplied, each dissecting different elements of the feud. Some highlighted potential hidden motives, business moves, alliances, or indirect connections, while others focused purely on entertainment, creating reaction videos, memes, and freestyles responding to the tension. The engagement metrics alone were staggering, demonstrating how a single call-out can generate waves across platforms, drawing attention not just from fans of the artists involved, but from the global hip-hop community. Even fellow artists began weighing in. While most remained cautious, some offered cryptic comments that were quickly interpreted as aligning with one side or the other. This subtle signaling created a ripple effect, influencing public perception and further fueling speculation. Social media analysts pointed out that such indirect interactions often drive the algorithm more than direct clashes because fans spend more time interpreting, commenting, and sharing theories. In other words, the story kept growing without either party needing to escalate publicly yet. Behind the scenes, the business ramifications were equally significant. Lil Baby's management team reportedly analyzed potential impacts on upcoming collaborations, streaming campaigns, and brand deals. Meanwhile, 50 Cent's team monitored engagement, reactions, and trending topics, strategically ensuring that the story maintained momentum. The interplay between personal reputation, social influence, and commercial strategy demonstrated why such feuds are often far more than entertainment. They are carefully navigated intersections of art, power, and business. The story also sparked generational conversations. 50 Cent, representing an earlier era of hip-hop dominance and strategic confrontation, stood in contrast with Lil Baby, a current chart-topping artist representing the modern, streaming-focused era. Observers highlighted how this clash was not merely personal. It symbolized a broader dialogue between old-school credibility and new-school influence. Fans debated, analyzed, and speculated, creating a sustained wave of engagement that ensured the feud remained a trending topic across all major platforms. By the time the initial 48 hours had passed, the hidden feud had grown into a full-blown cultural moment. Analysts noted that the story was trending not just because of the names involved, but because of the narrative tension, strategic timing, and cross-generational dynamics. It became clear that the unfolding drama was about respect, influence, and positioning within the hip-hop ecosystem, lessons that resonate with artists and fans alike. As the story develops, all eyes now turn to Lil Baby's next move. Will he respond with a statement, a diss track, or a subtle social media gesture? Or will he choose to handle the feud quietly behind the scenes, letting his music speak for itself? The uncertainty has only fueled fan engagement, with debates about possible outcomes dominating social media. Predictions, theories, and analyses flooded YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter, further amplifying the reach of the story. As the hours turned into days, the anticipation around Lil Baby's response reached a fever pitch. Fans were glued to every tweet, Instagram story, and hint of a lyric, analyzing tone, timing, and intent. Every post Lil Baby made was dissected for possible subliminal messages directed at 50 Cent. Meanwhile, 50 Cent maintained a calculated presence, strategically feeding the narrative without overexposing himself. It became clear to observers that this feud was not just about ego, it was about influence, perception, and power in the modern hip-hop landscape. Lil Baby finally broke his silence with a carefully curated statement during a live stream. While he avoided direct confrontation, his words were layered, hinting at respect for the legendhood of 50 Cent while asserting his own dominance in the current rap scene. Fans instantly began analyzing his tone, inflection, and phrasing. Every word was interpreted, every pause debated. The indirect nature of his response added a new layer of complexity, turning the feud into a psychological chess match watched by millions. Industry insiders noted that this measured response was strategic brilliance. Lil Baby didn't need to escalate publicly to maintain credibility. Instead, he used subtlety to assert control while keeping the drama alive. Analysts highlighted how modern artists are blending music, social media, and persona management to navigate conflicts in ways that maximize visibility and engagement without burning bridges unnecessarily. This moment exemplified that skill, showcasing the evolution of feud management in the age of instant information. As social media exploded with reactions, a new narrative began forming. Memes, reaction videos, and breakdowns flooded platforms like YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram. Creators dissected past interactions, lyrics, and interviews, linking them to 50 Cent's initial call-out and Lil Baby's subtle response. Engagement metrics skyrocketed, with fans debating who had the upper hand, whether the feud would escalate further, and how this dynamic might impact future collaborations or rivalries. The algorithm rewarded this frenzy, pushing videos and posts into trending sections and keeping both artists in the spotlight. Meanwhile, 50 Cent's camp continued to maintain a strategic narrative. Interviews, subtle social media posts, and behind-the-scenes interactions reinforced his position without directly escalating tensions. This careful balance between provocation and restraint demonstrated 50 Cent's mastery over influence and timing. Industry analysts pointed out that moments like this highlight the intersection of artistry and strategy, showing how legacy artists navigate the modern digital era to maintain relevance, control narratives, and engage global audiences. Beyond the immediate drama, the feud sparked broader discussions about respect, hierarchy, and mentorship in hip-hop. Fans debated what it means to earn credibility, how younger artists balance ambition with deference to veterans, and the role of public versus private conflict. Podcasts and YouTube panels explored historical parallels, comparing this feud to legendary confrontations involving figures like Jay-Z, Nas, and Ja Rule. These conversations extended the story beyond a single clash, making it a cultural moment that resonated across generations of hip-hop enthusiasts. The cross-city implications were also significant. Harlem, representing 50 Cent's legacy and influence, and Atlanta, representing Lil Baby's rising dominance, became symbolic battlegrounds. The online diaspora of fans, spanning from New York to Los Angeles, London to Toronto, engaged in heated debates, creating a viral storm that transcended borders. Every subtle comment, lyric, or gesture was amplified by the global audience, proving the immense reach and impact of strategic conflicts in modern hip-hop. In terms of business ramifications, analysts suggested that the feud could influence collaborations, brand partnerships, and streaming performance. Lil Baby's careful response protected his marketability, while 50 Cent's call-out reinforced his position as a tastemaker and influencer. Every move was carefully monitored by record labels, streaming platforms, and brands, highlighting the real-world impact of public feuds in an industry where perception drives revenue and visibility. As the story unfolded, fans began speculating about potential next moves. Would Lil Baby release a subtle track addressing the situation? Would 50 Cent escalate with a social media post or a remix? The uncertainty fueled continuous engagement, keeping the story trending and ensuring the algorithm maintained high visibility across all platforms. Each potential scenario became fodder for discussion, content creation, and speculation, extending the life of the feud far beyond the initial call-out. Ultimately, the clash between 50 Cent and Lil Baby highlighted the evolving dynamics of hip-hop in 2026. Strategic communication, digital influence, and careful narrative control are just as important as musical talent. Both artists demonstrated mastery of their respective strengths, 50 Cent with his legacy, influence, and strategic provocations, and Lil Baby with his chart dominance, subtlety, and understanding of audience engagement. Fans and industry observers alike were left to watch, analyze, and speculate on what would come next. This final part brings the story to a dramatic pause, with tension high and the industry watching every move. The feud has become more than a personal clash. It's a case study in modern hip-hop power, strategy, and engagement. With Harlem and Atlanta, fans worldwide, and the algorithm all locked in on this narrative, one thing is certain. 50 Cent and Lil Baby have created a moment that will be remembered and analyzed for years to come.